Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are finally back for our last best of 3 series for today, and it's gonna be the game between ARTEMIS ASTER against POWD Fraya. The draft is already underway, so let's just dive straight into it. So there we have it, the draft now currently underway. And we're gonna be seeing a high-loss pick on the side of ARTEMIS. It looks like the POW side is going to ban out the Kimi and the Valor. They pick up the Selena for themselves alongside the ASTER. I think it's not too bad, honestly. The ASTER has been pretty much almost 100% pick, I gotta say. And like I said, I have absolutely no idea why. Like, she's just a good hero, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like she's one of those heroes where, you need the right situation to pick it, and it's not like we have seen 100% win rate. ASTER is one of those heroes where, given the right situation, she's useful. But if you are able to shut her down early, or you are having a really good game, then ASTER just falls off really quickly.
Your team
so we're gonna see ARTEMIS pick up the Diggy and Ling. Finally, the first Diggy of the game. I'm hyped up for it. Just to counter against the Selena, and the fact that they might even decide to go for the Atlas themselves, given that the Valor has been banned out. So I like the thinking of ARTEMIS here, right? They know that POW have banned out the Valor, so they're probably either thinking about picking the Atlas or heroes that have really huge CCs. They cannot afford to get slowed or pushed away by the Searing Torrents of Valor. So because of that, they pick up the Diggy just in case POW decides to go for the Valor, or rather decides to go for the Atlas, or they can even pick up the Atlas for themselves. Either way, it looks really good for them now. And the only downside is that they picked up Hylos as their tank. So even if they run Atlas, that's going to be 2 tanks. I'm not sure if that's the way they want to run it. They can go back to the conventional 1-2-2, but I don't think they will be looking to do that here, because they've already banned out the Claude, they banned out the carry. So they're banning a lot of these MMs that they need if they are running 1-2-2. That being said, there is still plenty of MMs on the board, right? There's 1-1, there's Bruno, there's Grandeur that's available, so still available. I would say still plenty of fishes there in the hero pool, and Kaja's gonna be picked up. In fact, I gotta say I'm very surprised that Kaja was only picked up in the second phase of the draft. I thought that Kaja would be either a first pick or at least a first phase pick from either of these two teams, but nope, they left it all the way down to the second phase of draft. Not too late, and looks like we're gonna see ARTEMIS. They decide to go for the Ling pick. Not exactly my favorite hero in the moment. She's kind of iffy, quite paper. Requires a lot of stamina to be able to pull off his combos, and given how people have adapted playing against the Ling, you can easily take him out. That being said, I already stated why I think Ling is still really pesky. The ability to just immediately remove someone from the battlefield. Rather, most of the time it's just fighters, or not fighters, so the marksmen, the mages with Tempest of Blade. You still can move pretty quickly with the Finch Poised, as well as the Cloud Walker. So you have a lot of critical damage in his kit per se. So I still think he's one of the heroes where he is still useful in the correct situation. We see a Kagura pickup coming from ARTEMIS. POWD, they settle for the Bruno as their MM. So no MM picks coming for ARTEMIS, just a lot of burst damage with the Ling, with the Kagura and the Diggy, and they don't have any Purify. Whereas on the side of POWD, they run with this very interesting draft, I would say. The Kaja, the ASTER, something more. I would say it's a little bit more textbook draft, right? You see the MM there, you see the Uranus. As a fighter, you can run ASTER as a fighter. Kaja and Selena is gonna help the Bruno to farm up. They pick up the Purify onto the ASTER. I didn't really expect the Purify to Uranus. I'm not sure if that is to kind of stop him from getting stunned up by either the Diggy or the Hylos, which is the most possible scenario. But that being said, I still think it's a very odd pick on the Uranus to pick up the Purify.
Welcome to Mobile Legends. 5 seconds till the enemy reaches the battlefield. Smash them.
Yeah, it just seems really weird. I would have expected the Purify on the Bruno instead of the Uranus. I think that would have made more sense, but you know, sometimes it's just player preference. Maybe they've been playing a lot of Uranus. They feel like getting stunned up is you know, is something that you do not want to have, and obviously, you know, getting stunned up isn't really a good feeling, especially in Uranus. You are counting on, you know, a lot of regen, and the fact that you are able to stay mobile in the fight, that's what makes, you know, Uranus such a difficult hero to be able to go up against. And the moment he pops the consecration, he's able to, you know, just fully regen, and if he gets stunned up, he's not gonna be able to pull that ultimate off, and he's just gonna get instantly burst down. So I can see why he wants that Purify. Meanwhile, we do see ARTEMIS trying to defend this red buff. A little bit of action going down here, both sides. Walk away with ARTEMIS obviously not very happy that they had to get the red buff onto the Kagura, but at least it's one of their members, so it wasn't at least a steal from POWD side. Interesting lane composition, I gotta say. You know, putting the Kagura down the bot lane, obviously Kagura will do a lot better against the ASTER compared to other mages, but you know, like I said, once again, the fact that she's so mana dependent. Oh, top lane, a little bit of a skirmish. Managed to get a kill onto the Diggy. I think they dived in a little bit too deep there, and just got stunned up by Selena's Abyssal Arrow, who, you know, she hasn't really hit level 4 yet. So, but like I said, you know, Selena is one of those heroes where she doesn't really need that level 4. She's just really good at level 1 and 2. You get the Abyssal Arrow, you get the trap, you can just jump in, and you can just do your thing. Meanwhile, we do see top lane Uranus applying pressure onto the X bot. And coming back to the bottom point, I mean, I don't know, Kagura against ASTER is just really weird. But it is what it is, and now we might see a little bit of a skirmish here. Link already hitting the level 5 Tempest of Blade, not really letting on the target that they want to, but they did manage to get the kill onto the Selena. Meanwhile, they do trade it out with the Uranus. And ASTER coming down to mid lane to get some action himself. Link dropping really low, but manages to walk onto the wall in the very last second. Kagura gonna mirror the ASTER.
Turtle resurrecting soon.
Just gonna pick up that healing minion, and that's gonna allow him to Leona to just stay in the lane as much as she wants to. Really vital that Bruno doesn't have to go back to heal. ASTER running on an anti-tank of mana, going back to regen that up. Katika and the brush all by himself. And this is the thing about fighting against a Hylos, is that even if it's alone, it takes so much just to be able to bring down Hylos, especially if you don't have an MM that's farmed up. And this is the reason why Hylos is so consistently picked throughout, you know, the history of Mobile Legends. Back if you look, you go way back, he's been oftenly picked because he's such a stable hero. And you know, given that they reworked Hylos and how he works now, I think he's even more useful. I mean, that's a while back now, but you know, ever since his rework, he has been such a stable tank to pick up. ARTEMIS making sure that they have a bit of lane control with the Diggy. Meanwhile, top lane zoning the Xbox out with the Uranus allows Kacha and the Bruno to get the first tier tower on the top lane. Turtle fight is probably going to be the next focus. Link just constantly using the Fiendish Poise to leap from wall to wall, but it does increase his critical chance, so it's important to level up And obviously they do spot the link out POWD. They did manage to get the tier 1 tower, and looks like he might want to jump in with the Tempest of Blade. Jumps in first, Tempest of Blade going right down. They get the kill onto the Kaja. And Asmarter jumping right back in with an ultimate, gets the kill onto the Digi. The Stardust Dance doing quite a bit of damage onto the Hylos as well. Can he run out of position? Not sure if they actually want to sacrifice the Hylos here. Meanwhile, Mido, Selena in the fight of her own. Looks like Hylos will get away safe, and Sound the arrow will hit, and I'm pretty sure that is a dead Kagura. Magic Talisman picked up by Peach. And she's just enjoying her lane. Look at that. She's just cutting waves, you know, no one to annoy her. She's just having so much fun at the top. Meanwhile, we have the rest of POWD just split pushing onto the other lane. So, you know, making full good use of these Uranus to bully the Xbox. Celine definitely can hold her ground against this lane. Looks like this time around they are sick and tired of the Uranus. Uses Purify, and there we go. This is the reason why he picked up the Purify, just so that he can actually just prevent himself from getting stunned up. Like I said, I don't really like the fact that he picked up Purify, but you know, it worked, and no complaints about that. Asmarter in the middle of it all. Tempest of Blades comes down, but not enough damage on the Asmarter. The last Insanity is used, but it's not in the range of any of POWD, and they just split the fight into two. Link in a lot of trouble, thus able to get onto the wall just in time, but Xbox as well as Hylos are going to fall side by side. And well, obviously not a good result for the side of ARTEMIS. And we are staring down the face of a very scary Bruno at this point in time. Only has the Endless Battle, but already working towards that Berserker Fury, already doing a ton of damage onto the towers. And she's only going to be able to scale way higher than this. We're already hitting with 1.3k damage mark. Brute armor coming out from the Asmarter just to increase the survivability. Jumps in with Stardust Dance. I think it's gonna be easy sweep up now. Tempest of Blades, but once again, like I said, no damage. Abyssal Arrow landing from afar, but there is Time's Journey to keep Digi alive. Nope, no longer. With the word animation, bounces side to side, and they get the easy kill. I don't think there's anything that Kagura can do to defend against this tower. Well, they will pick her up, and I'm pretty sure they will come back for this tier 3, but in the meanwhile, they will be satisfied with that take. And they will also walk away with the jungle buffs. Look at that. They even use the Divine Judgment to get the kill. One more hit, 3 hits on the Digi, 1.4k damage. And they immediately blow up the Digi. Nothing much the Digi could have done there, honestly. Well, maybe except stay out of the way. There is turtle, but at this point in time, I'm not sure if POWD even need the turtle. They can actually just force the waves in. Bruno, a couple hundred more gold away from getting his Berserker Fury. And while they will let go of the turtle so that they can get the Lord at the 9-minute mark. Kaja just doing her due diligence. Clearing up the bushes, making sure that there's no one there to contest the Lord. And after she's happy, and just making sure, you never can be too careful. And they already got the tier 3 at the top side, so super minion waves are really pushing in. And now with the Lord, they should be able to get one more tier 3. Meanwhile, Selena just slowly shredding at the HP, and you know, ARTEMIS just gonna soak up all the damage from the word with the word animation. Abyssal Arrow just not gonna land on the Kagura, but that doesn't matter though. Look at the damage from the Bruno onto the turret. At this point in time, I think it's gonna be really hard for ARTEMIS to defend against POWD, who have pretty much cleared out the base of their opponents. You know, just finishing touches there. Abyssal Arrow will secure the kill onto Kagura. Not even the Shoryu Umbrella will save her there. Tempest of Blades burnt once again as a defensive measure. The front line is down. Ling is down. Gonlift is almost at half HP. And I'm pretty sure this is GG. Oh, even the Abyssal Arrow lands at the very final moment. With that being said, they didn't even need the Lord, but you know, the Super Minion Wave definitely did help.
Victory!
And with that, it looks like POWD will walk away with game 1. Bruno having a perfect game with 8-0 and 5 sim goals for Esmeralda, but more importantly, look at the net worth. Look at how much faster they were able to scale because of the fact they were giving Bruno a lot of space. They were protecting the Bruno, and you know, they just have so much setup available for them. You got the Esmeralda to jump and the Selena to jump in with the Abyssal Arrow at the link up, and you know, you also have the Uranus as a really good front line. And even for, you know, even if you to mention the Esmeralda, right, she's able to jump in with the Falling Star Moon, and you know, being able to just shred everyone with the Stardust Dance, and all the shield that Diggy generates is just gonna be eaten up by her. So as much as Diggy is a good pick, I think picking up the Atlas early would be better because the Valor was really banned out, so I'm not sure if they actually wanted to go for the Ling pick. I mean, the Hylos was not too bad. Hylos pick first, and then they go into the Digi pick. But you know, if you want to do that, then you gotta make sure that there's no Esmeralda around. I still like the Digi pick, honestly. I think the Digi did save them a couple of instances where, you know, the ultimate or rather the skills like the Kaja, you know, and the Abyssal Arrow were not able to be used to fruition. But you still need to look at the other elements on the side of POWD, and that is raw sheer burst firepower, and you know, that's something that I think ARTEMIS must take into account for game 2. With that being said, we'll go for a short little break, but when we are back, we'll bring you game 2 between ARTEMIS, ASTER, and POW Fraya. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with more Mobile Legends for you. Remember, you are watching the FSL Mobile Legends Bang Bang Indonesia Tournament. And, you know, before we begin, a big shout out to our partners / sponsors, Dreamcore, Yahoo, as well as Super Solid. But without further ado, let's just jump straight into game 2 between ARTEMIS, ASTER, and POW Fraya. And I believe the draft is already underway. So there we go, the draft for game 2. Remember, POWD have one game in hand, so if they do manage to win this game, it's pretty much them who's gonna go into the quarterfinals. And you know, unfortunately for ARTEMIS Aetors, this will be the end of the journey. Obviously, hopefully ARTEMIS ASTER can pull through so that we can see a game 3. We haven't ever been able to see a game 3 so far. Most of the games, all of the games so far that we have casted in the FSL MLBB Indonesia tournament has been in 2-0 series. So like I said, hopefully we do see a 2-1 here. But we're gonna kick off with a Valor and Hylos ban up, Claude and Kaja ban out as well. Pretty standard meta, nothing out of the ordinary. They do pick up the Kimi, Selena's available, there's Atlas available, there is also Ling that's available, but I don't think Ling will be picked up again after that performance, which wasn't exactly top notch. So I think a hero that you can look at here might be something like, you know, a really early game. I wasn't thinking along the lines of Selena, but sure, we can run with that. I really thought that Selena would picked up, you know, given that she was kind of led through the draft. if you think about it, there is also the carry that's also available, and I really think that, you know, Indonesian meta is something on its own. We don't really see too much of carry. We haven't seen too much of I mean, Selena obviously we've seen quite a bit, but we haven't seen Cho at all. Like, Cho has been completely left out of bans and picks, and this is what makes me so surprised, because Cho is such, you know, is such a good character to have, although, you know, they might be focused on something else. Selena eventually got picked up on this side of POWD. They really love this Selena pick, you know, works really well with them. I think the DE will work well once again, but they have to be careful of that shoe, and the fact that they pick up Selena in the first phase for ARTEMIS, you know, that ASTER that's just gonna really have a really good time, because every time she uses cosmetic lens, whether, you know, it's the Imperial Justice, when you're going for the lockdown, all these shields generated by Sylvana is gonna be completely ignored. It's just to be gobbled up like mum by the ASTER, and she's just gonna eat all of that up. And yeah, I mean, it's just really smart drafting by POWD in the first phase. So if you look at ARTEMIS, they also pick up the Digi, which is going to have even more shield, which is, you know, like I said, going to be ignored. So what's important for them right now is pick up a carry. Carry in this case will work really well for them. The issue with pick up the only issue I see with pick up a carry is that the carry must have perfect positioning. She cannot afford to get caught up by either the ASTER, she cannot afford to get caught up by the Selena, especially in the early game, because towards the late game she definitely will have a bit of farm, you know, definitely have a bit of more sustain, you have a bit more base damage. But the early game, the moment she gets slammed by a burst of arrow, the moment she gets slammed by a falling Stardust Dance, you're gonna have a lot of trouble, because the ASTER, once she lands with a falling stun wind, she's just gonna stretch you to pieces. So I think that's something that ARTEMIS have to be careful of. They ban out the Krufa, which I do like. Now I think what's important for them is to secure a fighter. Uranus is a bit of a concern. Ooh, I don't know about the Moskov pick. It does provide that CC. And I used to be a Moskov main in the very first few seasons, because Moskov was just one of the heroes where, you know, it's the faster speed, you come online the quickest, you have a ton of damage, he's very stable late game, but he needs so much farm. Moskov is a really greedy MM, right? The first two items that you get, you generally don't do much damage with him. You know, some people go for Scarlet Phantom, some prefer to just go straight into the Berserker Fairy, as well as the I mean, Blade of Despair is just a very expensive item to have, so it really depends on how ARTEMIS want to build their draft around this. Moskov so far, a lot of protective comp, I like that, but they need another fighter. They need a fighter that is able to hold a lane on their own against the ASTER. And from what I can see, I feel like they're gonna go back to the 1-2-2 if they do pick up the Grok, which is really weird. I mean, we already see the Lolita, the instant counter drafting against this Moskov, right? Picking up the Lolita, she's gonna be able to use the Bulwark Shield to just soak up all the damage from the Moskov, throw it back to her, to him, and then, you know, if you have the Lolita is just not bad. Num Blast, big AoE target, can turn the fight down in a second, set up for the ASTER to go and set up for the X-Buck on the last insanity. So a lot of setup available for the side of POWD, whereas ARTEMIS, they're just going for raw damage. You look at the kit, they have raw damage. They pick up the Aurora for the Cold Devastation, and I kind of like that. I think it's very out of the ordinary. In fact, if you look at that, they have like picks that are really OG. I mean, you look at that, you got Digi, you know, you're looking at Aurora, Moskov, other than Sylvana and Atlas, they're all like really past season heroes. So I think that's something that's really interesting, and something that we haven't seen for the longest of time. That being said, like I said, this could potentially be our last game of the day. If POWD wins this, they qualify for the quarterfinals, and obviously, you know, ARTEMIS, ASTER will go home, or rather they are already home, but, you know, we'll get knocked out in the tournament, and hopefully we'll see a game 3, and, you know, that will make things a lot more interesting. But for now, game 2 between POWD Fraya and ARTEMIS ASTER. And if you have a team that you are supporting in this tournament, remember to comment who they are, show your love for them, don't forget to follow us on Facebook as well as Instagram at FSL MLBB, or FSL Esports too.
Welcome to Mobile Legends.
FSL GG to get more
5
news and
seconds till the enemy
updates
reaches the battlefield.
on the FSL circuit
Smash
when
them.
we can release them.
All troops deployed.
Aurora top lane against the ASTER, not the easiest of lane, like I said. And she's only going to be useful when she hits that level 4, when she has that cold destruction, but for now, she's going to rely on that frost shock and bitter force to keep herself alive. Top lane, a bit of aggression coming in. Atlas just desperately trying to defend. Did manage to get the raid buff, and also forced to use the flicker, but they eventually do manage to take the raid buff in their favor, although I'm sure they wanted to save it for the Moskov. Abyssal arrow nearly landing on the Atlas right there. Moskov in a really bad position, has to fall back. They even managed, or rather they even forced the Aurora to rotate down onto mid, and I was surprised if they did manage to get a beta shock to someone there. Yep, they did manage to get it. Oh, they didn't really manage to land onto the frost shock.
Launch attack.
Selena's Abyssal arrow not landing. Obviously trying to bully this Aurora because of the lack of movement. The issue with Aurora that I have for Hero right now is that yes, she does have CC, she has a lot of damage packed into her, but she doesn't have mobility. If you look at the kit, she has nothing to get. Look at that, it's just an instant kill. The moment that Abyssal arrow lands there, there's just no follow-up, and it kind of forces her to pick up, the flicker, and obviously flicker's cooldown is really long, 120 seconds, and that just gives the opponent so much time to be able to bully against this Aurora that I speak of. And meanwhile, they try to get the kill onto Selena. Oh, the flame shot from Diggy will pick it up, and they get the return kill onto the Atlas. So pretty good trade coming up from POWD, who obviously not too glad about losing ASTER. There, decent damage onto the Digi, although they do pay for it. Pneumatic Blast. Oh, it's gonna be a double hit. Not only did they get the Aurora, but the flicker onto the Pneumatic Blast also managed to chain that stun onto the Moskov, and wow, Alicia. Not sure if that was intended, but hey, it is what it is, and it's gonna be a double kill coming out of that skirmish. Preach. Caught Divine Justice, but no follow up there, as it's a 1v1. Fatal Links burned in the middle. Not sure if that was the right time to use Fatal Links. Could have saved it for the follow up, but now Alicia in a lot of trouble. Spear of Misery just to push him further backward, but the Abyssal arrow comes out from nowhere along with the maximum charge. It's gonna blow the Atlas up instantly. Bottom lane as well. Sylvana went down to the Xbox, and that allowed them to get the tier 1 on the bottom lane. And POWD just wrecking havoc across all the lanes on the map, and they get another kill. Maximum charge will also secure one in the back on the Moskov. And 5 minutes in, not exactly the best site available for ARTEMIS. Though fair play to POWD, they have been coping really well. Look at that, 3 Purifiers on the Asmorda, the Kimi as well as the Selena, just to pay a lot of respect against the CC coming out from the side of ARTEMIS. Look, they have the cold destruction, they have Atlas with the fatal links, they have cosmetic lens, they have reverse time the Digi, they have Spear of Misery coming out from the Moskov. So despite all of the CC, POWD just coping really well by making sure that they keep the distance. They pick heroes with or rather an MM with a lot of range on this Kimi. Only that, look at that, the flicker comes in. Oh, the stun comes out at the very last second. It does foil the plans of POWD. Really good reaction there. But they still cannot save that tier 2 in the middle. However, POWD is just gonna secure even more kills with the Abyssal Arrow, just a nightmare for them to deal with at this point in time. Abyssal Arrow once again landing onto the Moskov. He wants to dive in. Beyblue was definitely thinking about that, but eventually decides to back off. They will settle for top. Hatika in a lot of trouble. Once again, Abyssal Arrow landing onto the Atlas. And that is pretty much the only target that if the Abyssal Arrow lands on, that POWD might have a bit of trouble killing. Other than that, every single hero on the side of ARTEMIS, be it whether it's the Moskov, the Sylvana, the Digi, the Aurora, once the Abyssal Arrow lands, no matter where they are, if the Selena can get to them in time, and I'm pretty sure that she can, it's an instant kill. Look at that, Xbox jumps into the backline, the last insanity into the fatal links. That is a 4-man catch out, and just like that, ARTEMIS will only find themselves hanging on by a thread with the Aurora alive. And I'm not sure what she can do, but she has to be careful about the jump, and that's the jump that I was talking about. Lack of movement speed. Selena just doesn't even need to land a Abyssal Arrow because Celine is just gonna dive in by herself. Oh, it's just bad. Moskov just came out and instantly gets sent back to the base. Atlas trying to front line for the team. Last insanity. Then blast into the flicker. But there's the reverse time that I was talking about. Does manage to buy some time for a team, but how much time can you buy with the reverse time? Because at this point, 8 minutes in, 2 tier 3 turrets down, the third one probably going down really soon, and look at that, Kimi just hammering those shots. And speaking of hammer, Lolita just using that dash to set up for the rest of the team. Cosmetic lens, jumping on the Celine. This is the first time they did manage to get the Asmorda and the base. But it doesn't matter because at this point, POWD, they know they can taste the victory. They know they got into the quarterfinals, and with that, barely 9 minutes, 8 minutes and 32 seconds in.
Victory!
PODW will secure the 2-0. And they also secure the win, or rather the quarterfinals spot that they have been yearning for. Look at that. Going one into the Blade of Despair just under 8 minutes. More than enough time to just shred the base, and what can I say, that was just a really quick game. I didn't expect that it would be as one-sided as it would. I mean, ARTEMIS did show signs of resistance, especially in the first game where they did really well, but coming into the second game, it was just completely no contest. POWD just steamrolling through it, and obviously, the scores were not updated in the second game, but it is a 2-0. So congratulations to POWD. They are your quarter finalists, alongside the team that is Alter Ego. I believe EVOS Esports, which we streamed the game earlier, also went through. We are waiting the results for the rest, but we'll get that to you. We'll also update it if you want to check out more of the FSL games that have taken place in the other regions, you can always check out our Facebook page on our Instagram. You can also watch our VODs on Twitch and YouTube. But if you're wondering what the girls are fighting for, once again, the prize pool of this tournament, in 4th and 3rd place, they will walk away with 50 Singapore dollars, 2nd place 100 Singapore dollars, and in 1st place 150 Singapore dollars. So that is what's on the line for the girls that are playing in this tournament. Once again, it has been fun casting for today. Remember to join us tomorrow at the same time for our quarterfinals, semi-finals, and obviously our grand finals. It's going to be very exciting. I think I have a few favorites in my mind. You know, teams like EVOS Esports. Obviously, we saw the Battletron ladies. We saw, I believe, a couple of teams that have a bit of potential, like, you know, POWD Fraya that did really well as well. Excited to see how XE and Queens play. We were not able to stream that match, but you know, I'm really excited for that tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. My name is Aries. Once again, a big shout out to our sponsors and partner, Dreamcore, Yahoo, Super Solid. You can check out Instagram at, or rather Instagram at FSL.gg, our Twitter FSL_GG, our Facebook page at FSL Mobile Legends. If you're on YouTube and Twitch, remember to subscribe and also share the stream with your friends. My name is Aries. I have fun casting today, and I will see you tomorrow.